Holy shit. Invincible episode 8. Oh my god. Let's get to it. Come on. Just holy shit. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Goddamn. This episode was so good and so brutal. It's ridiculous how good it is. So I have chills after watching it. So, Invincible episode 8. In episode 7, we ended with Omni-Man cutting the Immortal in half again, or not his head this time, but his body. And Invincible watching and saying, like, what the hell, Dad? What are you doing? And Omni-Man, and that episode ends with Omni-Man saying, or telling Mark, we need to talk, which is a classic line from the comic book. And this episode, there's so many spoilers, so you can't really talk about this episode without spoilers, because it's spoilers galore. But pretty much this episode is Omni-Man and Mark confronting each other, and we find out what Omni-Man has been doing this entire time, and, you know, how Mark takes it, and the fallout of it, and it's so good. It's emotionally freaking good. It's good with some brutal, crazy action. Just an overall fantastic episode. You know, I think episode 5 and 7 were my last favorite episodes, but this is definitely the best episode of the show. It just, like, it hits you. It hits you hard at the end. Like, I watch it and I'm just like, holy shit, I'm feeling all the emotions in this episode. Just, and some of them really, really good. So, like I said, it's hard to talk about this episode without really going into spoilers. So I'm going to head into spoilers. This is a 10 out of 10 episode. It's fantastic. If you loved the show up till now, of course you're going to love it now. This is like the best episode. We get some of the best freaking action. Just that's all I can really say. Just really good action. Really good moments between Mark and Nolan in, you know, the conversation about what's going on and everything. Just overall fantastic. So 1, 2, 3 spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, get the hell out of here, because I'm going to talk spoilers. I want to talk spoilers. This is so good. So Mark starts attacking Omni-Man in the beginning of this episode because he thinks he's brainwashed. He's like, how do I help you, Dad? What's wrong with you? You know, because he's like, how my dad would never just kill a hero like he did to the Immortal. So he starts attacking him, and, you know, Omni-Man's just kind of like pushing him off. He's like, stop, Mark, stop. You know, we need to talk. I'm not brainwashed or anything. We have to have a conversation. So Mark calms down a little bit, and then Omni-Man tells him exactly who he is and where he comes from. And the story isn't so different from what we heard before. He is from Viltrum, and he's come to this planet on behalf of his planet, but he didn't come to this planet to help it and, you know, to, you know, take care of it or whatever. He came to the planet to prepare it to be conquered. So the Viltrumites are this very strong race. They're technologically advanced, and they live in this great society, but they all have the same power. They're all super powerful and strong, and they pretty much had this war where they killed off all the weakest, and half their planet was killed, and only the strongest left, and they became one unified planet. And they decided that, hey, you know, being this powerful planet is not enough, so they went out into the universe and started conquering several planets. But they got to the point where they're just like, there's not enough of us to keep, you know, spreading the empire, so how are we going to conquer planets? So they decided to send out, like, a few people to one planet each so they can prepare the planet for it to be conquered. And essentially that was Nolan's freaking reason for coming to Earth. He's come to prepare it. So, and if you've read the comics, this is only part of the truth. Like, I don't want to spoil the comics, but the comics, there's a lot more that's going on that we don't really know. We get a lot of information in this last episode, but, like, if you really want to freaking get into it, go read the comics. It has been approved for 2 more seasons, which, yes, I'm so excited. I'm glad they said that. So we'll see a lot more, but definitely, you know, it's going to be a long period until the 2nd season. Start reading the comics. Start reading the comics. So Nolan tells Mark all that information, and Mark he's like, what? No, you know, it's like, this isn't true, because he's looked up to his dad this entire time, and he's wanted to be a hero like him, and he's heard his original story, how he came to Earth to be this hero and take care of it and everything. And that's what Mark's always wanted to do, be like him like that. So he gets very upset, and he's like, this is what we're meant to do. You know, we have a duty to our planet or to our people. And Mark's just like, this is my planet. This is my people. I'm not loyal to some aliens I've never met. And they just get heated to the point where they just, you know, Mark attacks Omni-Man and they just start fighting. And then Cecil sends out 2 jets, which is the stupidest thing he's done. And he's like, it won't, you know, they're not going to stop Nolan. But he's like, I hope it's enough to slow him down, to give Mark an idea to think of something he can do. So the jets go and they start attacking Nolan. They're not doing anything besides pissing him off. And he knocks one of the jets and the pilot falls off. And we get this cool action scene where he's just twirling down and Invincible goes and grabs him. And he's trying to save him. And then the parachute opens up and knocks Invincible out. So he has to fly back in to save him. And he freaking saves him and he lands on the ground all safely, just on the nick of time. And then Omni-Man just flies down right behind the 2 of them. And then Mark's just like, what are you doing? You almost killed him. And Omni-Man's just like, you pity these people? These freaking people are nothing to us, whatever. And he just grabs the pilot's head and just smashes it like nothing. And Mark's like, what the fuck? You know, what are you doing? And Omni-Man's just like, you know, today, 15 years from now, 50 years from now, what does it matter? Because one of his big things is that, you know, they live for a very, very long time. He's like, when Mark is 30, when Mark looks 30 years old, or when he's 100 years old, he's only going to look like he's 30 years old. He's like, and the older they get, the slower they stop aging. So he's just like, these people are nothing to you, you know? Like, in 1,000 years, none of these people are going to be alive, so what do you care, you know? You're above them. But Mark's just like, no, you know, these people matter. And he goes after the second pilot, and Mark goes and stops him. And they're just fighting and fighting. And, you know, at the same time they're talking, we get a lot of conversations and crazy action. Mark's just like, what about Mom? What about me? I thought you loved us. And he's like, I do love you, Mom. But it's more like a love for a pet, which just absolutely breaks Debbie's heart, because her and Cecil and his organization are watching it because they have little cameras following them around, and just that makes Mark snap. So he freaking starts attacking his dad, and his dad's just like, well, I'm gonna have to teach you a lesson, because he's been going easy on Mark. So he punches him very, very hard, and he goes right to a city, and goes right through a building, and crashes right through a city street, killing a bunch of people, smashing through cars and everything like that. And then he gets up and he sees the building he crashed through just falling over, so he goes and he starts picking it up, and he's having a hard time. And in the window right in front of him, there's a mom and her daughter, and they're because the building's leaning and they're starting to fall out of it. And Mark's just like, hold on, I'll push this up or whatever. I'm gonna save you guys. And then freaking the mom falls out of the window, and Mark grabs her, and he's holding her hand and pushing up the building. Oh my gosh, this moment. It's not even the cruelest part. And then the daughter's falling out. He's like, I got you. And then I believe Omni-Man knocks it over, or it falls over from its weight, and it smashes down. And then we see Mark pushing off the rubble off of him, and he's still holding the arm of this lady who was falling out the window and he was trying to save, but it's just her arm. It's detached. We see the bone, and it's all bloody and tendons and everything. It's oh my gosh. And Mark just freaks, so he starts attacking Omni-Man, and he's just like, you're just not going to learn your lesson, are you? He's like, I'm really going to have to teach you this. So he knocks him straight into the ground, and they fall down into a subway, and they're in the middle of a subway track. So Omni-Man just picks him up by his head, and he's just holding him forward as a subway train is coming right towards him. And he's like, no, Dad, no, we got to get out of the way. We got to save these people. And he's like, nope. And the subway train just rams into him, and it's like freaking butter. That the metal and everything's just spreading off of him. They're the people are smashing right through him and just exploding. It's this brutal fucking scene. Oh my god, it's so crazy. And Mark's just freaking out. He's like, no, no, no. And they continue to fight. Oh my gosh, those 2 moments just god damn it, god damn it. Anyway, they continue to fight, and we see the Guardians of the Globes talking. They're like, we can't do anything. There's nothing we can do to stop them. Eve has shown up. She's like, what's going on? It's like, Mark's getting his ass kicked by his dad. What do we do? And Black Samson's just like, we're going to suit up and we're going to go out. And Robo's like, we can't go out there. He's like, we might not be able to stop them, but we can save lives. So they go, and there's this nice moment between Monster Girl and Robot where she's like, "You need to remember, you're not a robot anymore." And she puts her hand on his chest, and he's like, "Okay." So they go out to help him. We kind of see him later helping people, but they have a small part in this episode, and that's essentially it. Then we see Mark and Omni-Man fighting. They smash through this giant freaking cruise liner. We see people falling into water, and, Mark's just kind of, like, really laid out. And Omni-Man pulls him out of the water, and then just flies them really fast and just smashes them into a mountain several times, and causes this big avalanche, and the avalanche, like, destroys a small town right below it. And then Mark's just, smashed into the ground, and Omni-Man just gets very mad because he was hoping that Mark would be on his side, and then he wouldn't have to go through all this stuff. So he starts yelling at him and just starts beating the shit out of him because, he's like, "I'm not going to join you. I don't care what you say, fuck you." So he literally starts beating it to death, just wailing on him, bam, bam, knocking his teeth out and everything, and there's blood and everything. This is the worst beating Mark has ever gotten. And Omni-Man is just pissed off. He's like, what's 17 years more? I'll start all over and have a new kid, essentially. Which is very fucked up, telling that to your son. Just like, you're fucking worthless. I'll just fucking have a new kid. And, in 17 years, he'll be better than you. I'll train him from the beginning and teach him about our Viltrum ways instead of raising him like an earthling. So he's very pissed off and beating him. But as he's beating Mark, he kind of... You can see he's kind of sorry a little bit, and we go into a flashback where Mark is playing Little League as a little kid, like 8-10 years old, and Omni-Man is just kind of there pissed off. He's like, "I can be doing something better. This is a waste of my time." And Debbie goes up to him and just like, "But this is your son. You and me, we created him. He's our love. He's a part of us. He's sad, we're sad. When he's happy, we're happy." And he's like, just look at him. He's just like, when he smiles, that should bring joy to your heart. And Omni-Man's kind of looking at him, and Mark's up to hit, and he hits a home run, and he's running the bases, and you just see Omni-Man kind of open up, and he's like, "Yeah, go Mark, go, go," and he's super excited. You can tell this is the moment where he really starts caring about Mark, or he starts understanding what it is to love and everything, because the Viltrum way is not a good way. They're very cold, and they live so long. His parents have probably been dead for a long time, and he doesn't remember them, in all honesty. And they kind of live for themselves. They live for their empire, and that's essentially it. They don't live for each other. They don't love or anything like that. So these are like new emotions to him. So he kind of really starts experiencing them. He loved Debbie, but this is, I think, where he really starts to love Mark. So, like, after the flashback, he just stops, and he's holding his fist, just like angry. And Mark's just like barely gets the words out, "Dad," and Omni-Man just kind of rolls over to the ground, and he's like, "Damn it, Mark, damn it, this never should have happened. We should have never been in this situation." And he's like, "I keep telling you, just like, in 500 years, what are you going to have on this planet? It's going to be dust. It's going to be nothing." He's like, "What are you going to have? Your friends, your family, everyone, they're going to be gone in 500 years. What do you care about this planet?" And he's like, "What would you have in 500 years? And this is a great line that I love from the comic books. He's just like, "You, Dad, I'd have you." And then Omni-Man just kind of breaks down, and you can see it, like, that's the moment where everything just hits him, because he's been hesitant to do this. He's doing it because he's loyal to his empire. This is what he's been trained and learned his entire life. He's hundreds of years old, if not, 1,000 or two, and this is what he's known, the Viltrum ways. So the Earthways are different and new to him, and he's struggled to, do what he needs to do for his empire versus, the love he's feeling for his family and his new freaking planet. So he's just like, he gets angry and upset, and you can see in his face that he's sorry that he did this, and he just ends up taking off, and he flies up into space, and as he flies up into space, we see a bunch of teardrops just behind him, because he's definitely sorry that he did this, and to his wife, to his son, to all these people and everything. And it's such a good moment. So, and this is only like halfway through the episode, like, oh my god, like, I'm sitting there, and like, I knew it was coming, because this happens in the comic books, but oh my god, it hits in such a different way. It was so good. It was ridiculously good. Like I said, I felt it. I felt all those emotions. I felt for Mark, I felt for Omni-Man, I felt for Debbie, I felt for all those people who were suffering and dying, and it was just brutal and emotional, a father and son fighting it out, his son be like, no, Dad, this isn't you. There's good in you. You're better than this. And the dad struggling with, the love for his family and his new planet. And like I said, his empire. So at the end, oh, sorry about that. And then freaking Omni-Man decides to do what's right. Like I said, one that's right. He takes off. He's just sorry for it. And then the rest, like I said, we still have like 20 minutes left in the episode, so we get the fallout of everything. Mark is in the hospital for several weeks, and Amber, Eve, and William are very worried about him, and they're waiting for him. Debbie's a wreck. Like, all their friends and everything are a wreck. The Guardians are trying to help the people in I think they said it was Chicago, as the city is all destroyed and everything like that. They're trying to help people. It's very crazy. So Mark eventually gets out of the hospital, and then he goes home with Debbie, and she's like, oh, I'm going to my bed to sleep, and she just goes into her room and starts crying, and then Amber knocks on the door, and Mark opens it, and she kisses him on the lips, and he's like, are we back together? What's going on? She's like, I think so, if you want to give it a try, which is probably just her emotions. She just feels bad for, she's like, everything we went through just kind of seems like meaningless now after what you went through with your dad and everything. She's like, if you want to give it a shot, let's give it another shot. So they say might get together in this part, and then William and Eve show up, and they're just like, oh my God, Mark, or whatever, and he's like, why don't the four of us go out and we can talk about it, because he's like, I just need to go out. So he goes out, and they're talking about it, and he's just like, maybe we should talk about something else. I'm not in the mood to talk about this stuff. But then he gets a call from Cecil, and he's like, I know we talked earlier about you joining me, which he did, I didn't mention. He was like, but I really need you right now, even though you said you're not sure. So he's like, someone's flying at us from space super fast. They're coming right through the planet, and we don't know who it is. Can you freaking go intercept them? It's like, it might be your dad again. He's like, I'm sorry about that. So he flies up into space, and I didn't mention this earlier, but this is a cool scenes when they fly into space. When Omni-Man flies into space, he's covered in blood, but all the blood burns off as he enters the atmosphere. And the same thing when Invincible enters the atmosphere, he's wearing his clothes, he has his costume underneath, his clothes just burns off. Very cool stuff. Anyway, he goes into space, and it turns out it's Alan the alien, and Alan is just like, I'm here to warn you, when you told me this is Earth, I forgot to check my logs, but when I went back to my coalition, they told me that there's a Viltrumite living on this planet, and I'm here to warn you about it. And Mark's like, oh, that, I already know. And he's like, what do you mean you know? So he ends up telling them a story about his dad and everything, and Alan's just surprised. He's like, no Viltrumite has ever left their post. They pretty much have either conquered the planet or destroyed it, so there's nothing left. He's like, but they don't leave just like that. So he's like, this is a new development. He's like, and you're a Viltrumite who doesn't serve the Empire. He's like, and he tells him, he's like, there's this big war in space. The Viltrumites are conquering worlds, world after world, and there's a coalition of planets trying to fight back against them to push it back and save these other planets. He's like, this might be a big game changer. He's like, do you mind if I tell him? And he's like, if we need your help in the future, will you help us? And Invincible is just like, yeah, I don't have a problem. Now it's like, what do you plan on doing until then, or right now? And Mark's just like, I don't know. And then we get this flash of all the villains we've seen throughout the season. The Squidoids, the Sequoids, conquering Mars, Battle Beast on some spaceship, Titan, with his new empire, our criminal empire. Freaking the Flaxons getting ready to invade Earth again. I think I'm forgetting something. There's a few. Doc Seismic underneath the planet controlling the lava man. A bunch of scenes just setting up the future of the show that, Mark's not done being invincible. He thinks he is, but there's shit to be done. And at the end of it, Mark's just like, I think I'll finish high school. Now it's like, I think that sounds nice, which is just like, he's going back to be invincible. And like I said, we already got, they already said that we got 2 more seasons coming of this show, which is going to be fantastic. Hopefully we get 5 or 6 at least. But I'm glad we got 3, and it's good to know we're getting 3. This show is fantastic. Like, that's all I have to say. This episode was so good. Like I said, just like the beginning part alone was fantastic, and I just kind of skimmed over this last part because I've been rambling for almost 20 minutes. But overall, like I said, it's a fantastic episode. It does justice to the comic. in a lot of ways, I think it's better than the comic, which is sad to say. This last episode was written by Robert Kirkman, and it really shows. He really knows his characters and his material. In the beginning of the comic book, he was trying to do something different. Originally, he wanted to put this twist like several issues into the comic, but someone told him, he's like, no, if you wait until like issue 20 something to put this twist into the comic, it's like it's gonna be canceled before then. So he kind of rushed the ending, or rushed this part, because I think it was like an issue 5 or something like that. So he put it on or he put this big twist and fight in issue like 11 or 12 or whatever. So, like, he was trying to do something different because he was early in his career back then. But now he really understands, storytelling and writing a lot more better, I think. He understands the story of Invincible a lot better as well because he's finished it. He's written these characters for over 144 issues. So, you can tell that when he wrote this episode, what was really important, what we needed to see as an audience, as fans of this stuff. So, it was a really good episode, really good season. Overall, it was just fantastic, like 10 out of 10 season, just and 10 out of 10 episode. I absolutely loved it. It's so good. Like, I want to go watch it again because I'm pretty sure there's a lot that I missed because I was just like eyes wide open, just like holy, like at the edge of my seat. Like, I haven't felt this way in a long time. When they go to the subway, when he's trying to save the people, when he just smashes that pilot's head, I'm just like, god damn, like it's fucking brutal. It was brutal. All right, but like I said, fantastic show, fantastic episode, loved it, 10 out of 10. You should be watching it if you haven't watched it. I don't know why you're watching this video. No, thank you for watching my videos, honestly. But that's pretty much it. Like, I can ramble all day about this show and talk about it, the Invincible, the comic and everything. I'm a fan, you can see it in the background, my Invincible stuff, some of it. I have been for a long time. So it's really good to see a bunch of people loving and appreciating this show. And if you're watching this because you're new to the show, thank you. And if you watched to the end of this episode or my video, thank you for watching. But that's it. Like I said, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys checking it out. I look forward to talking more Invincible on my channel. Hopefully in the future I'll do maybe some videos on the comic or on the character or something. And definitely when season 2 comes out, I'll definitely review it in video format. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this. Comment in the comments what you liked, what you hated, and what you hope is in store in the future of Invincible. If you just want to fucking talk about the comics, fucking hit me up. I have social media. I think it's in the comments below. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Invincible heads out. That was stupid. Peace out. Peace out.